So now I'm back in Dallas and skating even harder than before. I mean, we were like Jeff Phillips Skate Park every day, downtown, every night, filming. And I don't know why Jamie was coming to Dallas, but I know that we connected before he got there, because me and Jamie's like kind of relationship started with a brief introduction in Philly. And so Jamie Thomas, when I met him in Philly, rode for a company called Experience. But this time he came to Dallas, I believe he was pro for a company called Invisible. And I didn't have a board when he showed up, but he gave it to me. He gave me a board, you know, I got a whole setup, and we just went filming. But what Jamie doesn't know is when we showed up at Jamie's hotel room, I looked at Jamie's board and it was like big and big ass wheels and all this shit. And I was like, you know, because we skated small boards and small wheels. And me and my dude looked at each other like, dude, let's get out of here. So we left our people in the room. And me and my homie were walking off in the parking lot. And it was literally Jamie opened the door like, yo, where y'all going? And we just looked back and I was, dude, this was like do or die. And I didn't even know it was do or die. But I looked back and was like, oh yeah, we're just smoking a cig, like, we'll be right back. And we turned around and went back to the room. Truthfully, it's one of those decisions that like changed my life, you know? I don't even look at like, maybe something else would have happened down the line. I don't even look at that. I look at it like, right then and there, that was the fucking decision that I made, and made it the right decision. You know, filming with Jamie that weekend was like a real accomplishment feeling, because throughout my whole skate life before that, I never really had like goals, you know? I mean, I had goals to like land tricks, and of course you feel good about doing that stuff, but this was like a pro filming me, hearing him screaming after, you know, filming a line, or like big high fives, and seeing like the look on his face was something that I never really grew up with. It sounds real tweaked, but it was almost on some like father figure type shit, you know what I mean? It was like, damn, I actually made somebody proud, you know what I mean? And that made me like, you know, feel real good about it.
What's up, fool? I want my cigarettes, boy.
How you gonna skate that good for cigarettes?
The only thing I never really ever discussed with the filming with Jamie that weekend, like the weekend, you know, was I just put everything I had into it. I went to all the spots that catered to me, and he never like steered me away from it. And I think that's one thing that people don't really know, you know what I mean, is he was in my turf. I had this opportunity, and the way I took advantage of it was going to the places that I knew I could skate well, and that I knew I would look good at on film, you know what I mean?
Keep going, bitch.
After we filmed that weekend, Jamie went back to California to do his thing, but he was sending me boards. And I was using those boards to basically pay for what I was doing. He might send me a box of like 7 boards. I would skate 2 or 3 and sell, you know, 4 or 5 of them. And I was using some of that money I was making off selling those boards to go back to Michigan to surprise my girlfriend, to talk her into coming back to Dallas with me. And while I was in Michigan, Jamie actually reached out to me. Dude, I don't even know how this happens, because we didn't have cell phones. So I probably called him to get boards sent to Michigan. I bet you that's how it was. And me and Jamie were on a conversation, and he was like, hey, there's an Invisible tour. You want to go on it with us? So I'm like, all right, I'm trying to set up, you know, getting me and my chick to Dallas. So I'm like, why don't you and your friend go to Dallas, and then I'm going to go on this tour, and then I'll just like get dropped off, or however, I'll just end up back in Dallas. You know what I mean? And that's what we did. Like, I went on this Invisible tour, even though Jamie quit right before the tour. So That's where I met Laban, Dave Berthel, John Reeves, like all the guys that were a part of Invisible. And we had a great tour, dude. Like, it was a lot of fun. My very first ad came out for Invisible. It said the amazing Josh KALIS. Like, it was a backtail with some Pumas on. Like, it was dope. But I was confused because there was no Jamie, you know? So when I get off the tour, I hop back on that Greyhound bus and me and my girlfriend go back to Dallas. And I got the new 411, I put it in, had no idea. And it was footage that Jamie filmed on that Dallas trip. I was just like, what? You know what I mean? Like, what? I told my chick, like, yo. It was dope. And I remember specifically it was the song was Blondie, The Tide is High. You know, the tide is high. And I forever liked that song. And when I saw that line in 411, I felt like my window of opportunity just opened a little bit more. Something I filmed with this guy just showed up on 411. Okay. And I get a phone call from Jamie that says he was starting this new thing called Toy Machine and really wanted me to be a part of it. And that if I could make it out to California, you know, he would set me up with a place to stay at his house and we'd go skate every day and all that. So it was essentially up to me to get myself to California. In my mind, I'm thinking, I don't have any money. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. And my dad, of all people, who had like some little Cessna plane, and he was like, it'll cost me $350 in gas there and back. He's like, if you pay for my gas, I'll take you to Southern California. So I got the money, and when I showed up, it was me, my girlfriend, and her friend, and we all had our bags, and it was over the weight limit. So I didn't want the girls to not have their stuff. So I just left my bag. Truthfully, I think I left my bag at the airport and we just went. So I land in California. I got my chick, her friend, and that's it. It seemed like the minute I touched down on that little Cessna plane and Jamie picked me up and we went to PB, we were filming. And that was my only focus, was wake up in the morning, go out with Jamie. And I didn't know at the time, but this footage that we were compiling right then and there was for the heavy metal video.
Yes, Toy Machine rules.
I think in these days, these early days of Toy Machine, it was me, Jamie, Ed. Satva got on while we were filming for heavy metal. And Panama Dan, but I didn't really know him. And we're filming. I'm realizing that like, I just don't like it in San Diego. It wasn't visually appealing to me on footage, so I wasn't into it. So we took a little road trip up to San Francisco, which was, you know, my dream place. You know what I mean? Like, holy shit, I'm in San Francisco. And first place I went to was Embarcadero. It was like skaters everywhere. I like looked at everybody. I already knew rumors about like dudes stealing boards and jacking boards. And the first dude that came up to me was this kid named Jocko. We had this short little conversation. He asked me where I was from, but then he was like, yo, what kind of skateboard you got? Let me check it out. And I was like, fuck, man. Like, this dude's gonna take my board. Cause now I'm like running brand new boards and shit. And I let him know. I'm like, look, dude, like, you can skate my board if you wanna skate my board, but if you take it, I'm gonna find you. He went and skated it, and then he was over there in the corner, by the little two-stair where the Gons meets the two-stair, and he straight up looked back over at me, and like I looked at him and I just stood up off the three and just like waited. And then he came skating on back and he was like, yo, this setup's tight, bro. Like, and gave me a knuckles, and I was like, whew. After that introduction, I skated.
So much to give, understand me, sugar.
I think the thing that sticks out most about that video part for me is that it was an eye-opener that I could be in California and still feel comfortable in San Francisco and not have to be so much in Southern California. Because Southern California was real hard for me to deal with. I mean, another big thing about that video part too is like, I had such a gnarly breakup that when that video part came out and the positivity that I got out of it after the fact showed me that like you can have something catastrophic happen and still be motivated to do something, you know, for yourself and for other people, you know. The song is 100% related to the breakup, but it is not affecting me skating because I don't skate to disconnect. It's not a getaway for me. It's just what I do, man. Like I just skate.
Baby, no, no. And giving yourself to me can never be wrong. If the love is true.
If I look back to the, you know, what heavy metal might have did for me, I'm blinded by what it did because it was just another chapter in my life. I got introduced to new people after that, but it wasn't because of the video. It was just because of the neighborhood I was in and who I hung out with. And these are the Alien guys because they lived right across the street from Jamie. And I was hanging out with the Alien guys, and it wasn't until they started what I thought they were clowning me by like, yo, KALIS, heard you ride for the workshop. Heard you ride for the workshop. And I remember going back to Jamie being like, dude, I think these dudes are clowning me over there. He was like, I don't know. Well, I think you should ask them if they're really clowning you, you know? And so I like got Deerdick by himself, and I was like, look, dude, I'm not really feeling you guys clowning me. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you know, with that whole like, KALIS, you know, I heard you on the workshop, Like, I don't really understand why you're saying that. And he was like, no, dude, what I'm saying is, if you ever want to ride for the workshop, just let me know. And I was like, oh, because that's something I never even considered.